Hi gamers, welcome to my guide to the first in the BF4 range of DMRs. In this series you'll find real world gameplay comparisons and not the usual regurgitated stats. In these videos you'll see how these weapons really play, from the best to the very worst. Or as I like to say, the good, the bad to the very ugly. Here we have a typical DMR spot on Hainan above the A and B flags. This isn't a range at which you'd normally be comfortable with any other weapon, except a sniper rifle of course, but with a bit of practice you'll have no difficulty making kills from here, as long as the enemy are about of course. We start off with some general gameplay with the first DMR, the RFB. On paper it's got similar stats to all the DMRs, but the reality is this weapon is a jack of no trades and a master of even less. There's no real reason why this weapon should be so bad. It just is. As you can see, it's not a case of you will never get a kill with the RFB, as of course you will, unless you're a complete and utter noob. However, despite all the claimed stats for the weapon, it fails in more ways than any other DMR available. It just has one use and one good use, and that's to earn the next DMR. I can only describe this as the spray and pray of the DMR world, and you'd better be ready to kneel and clasp your hands before the altar, because you'll be doing more in the way of praying than you will in the way of killing with this one. I can safely say I'm not going to devote any more time to this weapon. You're going to have it, you're going to use it to earn the next weapon, and you're then going to put it away to go rusty. You're never going to get this weapon out again. Well, at least not if you've taken any notice of what you've heard here, or at least if you've got a brain in your skull. And so, soon we're going to move swiftly on to the first decent DMR. The next DMR in a series, and the first unlock is, as we see here, the mod. What you notice with this weapon straight away is it's far more accurate than the RFB. This weapon is living proof that the stats comparison are pointless in BF4. Considering we've only moved up one weapon, here, to the mod, it's supposedly rather similar to the dreadful RFB, but you'll notice as soon as you make your first kill that it's way more accurate and way more stable than the RFB. This is in both laid up and run and gun situations. The mod comes across as having way more stopping power too. Clearly it hasn't, the stats tell us it hasn't of course. But because you spend more time hitting the target than the surrounding street furniture, it comes across as having more accuracy, more stopping power, in fact more of just about everything. The result with this weapon is, whatever you think of it, you're going to get more kills and you're going to get less deaths than you are with the RFB. But then again, I think we could pick any weapon and we could get more kills and less deaths than we would with the RFB. Every weapon of course in BF4 is deliberately given a limitation, and with this one it's really a sort of 2 to 3 shot weapon period. If you start trying to find more than 2 or 3 shots, you're not going to get on very well with the mod. Just a little bit of sneaky pistol play here that worked out rather well. Yes, I know it's not DMR play, but we're making the point that if you've only got a DMR in your hand, you really are going to need something for a backup when it gets up close. There is an exception to this of course. There's always an exception to every rule, isn't there? And that is the next DMR we're going to show you. It's only the second unlock, the third weapon in the DMR series, and that is the SKS. Now, I'm going to use the title here of awesome. The SKS really is an absolute awesome killing machine. I know it's an overused word, but in the case of the SKS, it's an apt one. There's a good way to describe this weapon. It is the assault rifle of the DMR world. The SKS is a true DMR, make no mistake, but with accuracy and stopping power of a DMR. However, it also has rapid fire capability. It absolutely defies belief with its versatility. The downside of most DMRs, as you've probably found out already, is they're really for hiding up. And I don't mean boring sniper style on the edge of the map never moving, I mean moving around the map, making best use of cover. but what lets them down is once someone runs up to you with a carbine in their hand or a PDW or basically just about anything, you're pretty likely to get nailed. However, with the SKS you have the option to let off hellfire in their face as you either stand your ground or retreat. Taking into account the devastating accuracy, the firepower, the rapid fire, the fast reload, this gun scores as my number 2 DMR of all time, and I do mean all time over all the Battlefield series. Not too shabby for what is only the second unlock in the DMR series and the third weapon in it. Here you'll see someone's coming up the stairs, and having a little noobish moment, I switched to my pistol. That's because I forgot that I had the SKS in my hand, the only weapon that probably would have saved me, or sorry, the only DMR that probably would have saved me up close. Had I remembered and trusted that I had the SKS, I probably would have taken that guy out. My failing, not a failing of the great SKS. Here it is, at its best, popping up a few at medium to long range. But had they got closer to me, it wouldn't have been 2 or 3 shots, it would have been 8 or 9 shots, and I would have stood a decent chance.
Enemy sniper spotted.
As we come to the end of this video, or this section of our series, I can tell you, you will love this weapon. In fact, you'll learn the next one and you won't want to put this one down, but of course we all know you need to, or you'll never progress through to the greatest all-time DMR, which you're going to find out later in our series. Thanks for listening, enjoy the last of the gameplay, and we'll catch up with you in part 2, where you'll actually see 3 more DMRs, some awesome, some not so awesome. Cheers.